Hi everyone, it's Marilyn. Welcome to KK's Quilt Studio. We had someone ask about designs in double wedding ring. She wants to maybe modify a quilting design to fit into a wedding ring, double wedding block. Now I love vintage quilts. I'm always looking, shopping around to maybe find a quilt. And this is a picture of one of the quilts that I got recently, and I've been working on double wedding rings. So I've been playing around a lot with this type of quilt and the specialized designs that go into it. So someone asked in my Facebook group, the ProStitcher Designer Diner, about how to modify a block and make it fit into a double wedding ring. It has some unique shapes, and if there were a possibility to maybe modify a design, it wasn't particularly made for a design, but how to get it modified in ProStitcher Designer. Now, I always say that it's best to start with something close. When I was searching in this process to find a design for my double wedding ring, I looked around. I looked at Pinterest. I looked in places that sell quilting designs. I looked at quilting motifs, the plastic templates, looked all over. I'm looking for something with those pointy corners or something that I can easily modify in ProStitcher Designer to work, that I can morph into that unique kind of pointy square star shape that is a double wedding ring. So I know there's a melon also, but we're primarily going to uh, talk about four-pointed star that is the center of the ring. So these were some of the designs that I gave consideration to over here on the right with the yellow background. That actually is one of the designs that I created with my design software. So you can create your own designs, or you can modify a current existing design if you don't want to spend more money on designs. So if you haven't already, be sure to join my ProStitcher Designer group. Look us up. We love to jump in and help everyone with questions they may have. And don't forget that I have two guides available for ProStitcher Designer. These are guides that I've written, and the first one, the lesson guide to ProStitcher Designer, covers all of the tools and techniques, the uh, things that are available in the ProStitcher Designer program, a few simple lessons on how to work with ProStitcher Designer in conjunction with ProStitcher Premium. And the second book I wrote were even more practical lessons in the ProStitcher Designer Primer. So those will get you started. Let's go over into ProStitcher Designer and let's talk about how to get set up with uh, this plant, with designing for this quilt. Actually, let's start in ProStitcher Premium. So I'm using simulation. So this is the robotics that run your machine, your long arm machine. And I am in the simulation mode because it is so much easier to see here, so we don't have fingers or reflections or shadows getting in the way. So if you were at your quilt top, you had everything loaded, and you were trying to trace out that center star, you would go to the area tab, here on the area tab, and we'd have to select a multi-point. So I have located the head of my machine in the upper left-hand corner of that star. So I would have to set a point, and because it's a curve, I'd have to set several points moving around. And this could get pretty monotonous. I have to click a lot of points to get that curved shape of that design. And, I'd have to keep clicking, clicking, clicking. So, is there an easier way? Well, yes, there is. So let's go back into ProStitcher Designer and take a look. I'm going to go to View. I'm going to turn on my grid. Okay, go back to the Tools tab, and I'm going to select the 3-point arc. And I could bring in a backdrop, a picture of my double wedding block and trace around it, or I'm just going to give a rough estimate of what's going on here. So make about an 8-inch block center. So I've got my snap to grids turned on. So up here on grid line, to make sure that turned on, you go to right click, and yes, next to snap to guidelines, you'll see that box is checked. So we are good. So I can keep going on here and designing, and it's snapping guidelines. At that point, it's quite where I wanted it. So let's go up here and down to here. You see that I'm getting a little line. If you look at my rulers on the top horizontal and right, see that there's a line move. So I'm watching those as I draw to get an equal, nice, even point, and I'm clicking, aligning, and clicking. Okay, we're done. I can right click, or I can hit Q on my keyboard, or I can just hit the select key, and that will end my drawing. So there I've got a rough drawing of my design. So now I would go to Preview, Apply Stitches. I have to do that, and I would go to File, Save As, and I would want to save first in the C2S format, and then I would go down and I'm going to save as HQA file. I've already done that up here. You'll see that I have an area, so I would save that. It's a C2S file. That's my working file. So if there, for any reason, I need to come back and make modifications, this is the file that you want to open. I will save it as an HQA file, and there you'll see that I have already saved HQA. HQ, we say, what's an HQA? I've heard of HQF and HQV, but not an HQA. HQA is an area file, so I can save that. I've already saved it, so I'll just cancel out of here. But then we are ready to take it over to our ProStitcher Premium. So if you have ProStitcher Designer activated at your machine, normally we go to the Home tab and Send, but area files are different. We can't send an area file. It would just be a regular file, how it would show up in ProStitcher Premium. I actually need to go to ProStitcher Premium and bring this over as a saved file. So over back here in ProStitcher Premium, see, I've got my file that I started drawing, and that's not going to work, so I'm just going to clear that from my workspace. I'm on the area tab in ProStitcher Premium. Go to File on the tab and open the file from wherever you saved it on your computer, or I'm working with it, so I can just click. And now you'll see that that design is it's a pink dotted line, so that is my area file. I want to show you. If I send it over just like this, hit send, go to ProStitcher Premium, see the difference in the file? They're the same size and everything, but this one, it is thinking it is a stitch file. So like any of my other files, I cannot load a design and then go to modify and skew or align because it's not an area. The only reason these buttons are lighting up is because I have a design on my or on my workspace. So if I were to clear, close the selected file, I'll go back, see that I don't have anything, all my buttons are grayed out. I only have an area loaded to my workspace. So if you ever get that and everything's grayed out, um, it's important to know that I don't have a design. I can't do anything with a design, and these are all functions that deal with something to do with a design. So let's go to the File tab and go to Design, and I'm going to go to Open. Now, there are files in what comes with ProStitcher Designer that might be good. I mean, these have 4 pointy corners. This one might work. This one might work. Uh, this one, if I rotated it, might work. But these are all files that may work with what we're going. So I'm going to select. Oh, let's select hearts because romance, weddings, it's all about hearts, isn't it? Say open. Okay, well, now I have my design, I have my area. Let's go back to modify. Let's go to skew and let's try skew. Ooh, that's ugly, isn't it? Not pretty at all. Well, there's always, if you've loaded version 4.75, you have a quarter skew button now. So you can skew that block and to fit into your double wedding ring. So it's as simple as that. Let's try another block. Let's go back to File. Let's close that select design. Let's go back to Designs, open up. Let's grab this one, see what happens. Now this one's got points, edges that stick out, don't we? So might be a little bit more difficult, don't know. So let's use that same order skew, and yes, that fit inside the block, but those points here aren't quite down into the corner. I may want to bring those down a little bit more into the corner. So what to do? Well, maybe you don't even have ProStitcher Premium. Maybe you have a different program, a different system that runs your long arm. So if you own Designer, but you don't own Premium to run your long arm, what can we do in ProStitcher Designer to help us with skewing this block? So I am back in ProStitcher Designer, and I've gone to where my ProStitcher designs are, blocks, and that was block 11, I believe. Okay, so yeah, that's the block we were dealing. We'll go to Open, and there is that block. Now I should have merged that onto the page, so I'm going to go up to Tools, Copy, and go back to my area. I'm going to paste that block back here on that. Okay, want to take that block up to just about the design size that I'm going to want to work centered. Go to modify. Looking at my line. I'll just drag that in. Okay. I'm gonna turn off back to view, turn off my grid, wanting to snap to that and get it center. I'm using my rulers, so you see that my little line is on the 0 and the 0. So we're pretty much centered. Now, that was the question in my Facebook group is how do I get those corners to come out here? Now we could have brought that design as it was morphed, saved it and brought it in, but if you don't have the program, it's hard to work. I'm going to select on the star. I'm going to go back to preview. I'm going to change that back into artwork so that it's just a little bit heavier. Okay, now I'm going to select my block 11 and I'm going to go to the reshape tool and I'm going to manually come down here. I'm going to turn even though my grid isn't there, my snaps are on. That may be a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't want those jumping around. So I'm going to manually do this and watch my lines where I am. Okay, I'm on 0 on the left ruler bar. Good. I want to do this one, left ruler bar on 0. Up, fine. Okay, that's good. Grabbing a node and moving them to the center of the guide, that's fine. You'll see where my old lines are here. I brought those guides in. This one off center. Back in. Okay. I click off of the design. You'll see that my outlines go away, but my design is on the points. Okay. Now, did you know that you can grab more than one point in ProStitcher Designer? That's what I'm going to do now. So I am on the Shape tool, letter E on your keyboard, and I am going to left click on my mouse and drag a selection box, you'll see it turn blue, around that pointed design. And I'm going to release. Now, these nodes are highlighted, they're square, aren't they? They're different, so that means I have them selected. So I'm going to pull those corners up. Do the same here. Grab those nodes, I've got them all selected. See that they all move together. Okay, click on my design, drag a box around, pull those guys into the corner. Same with the bottom design. Now I can go up here, I can select that many, but I don't want to select that one because that would pull that node way out. I only want to grab those nodes that I intend to use. Okay, and they're probably a little bit better, that corner. I can morph that design into fitting. If I don't want these corners, back them off just a little bit. Maybe I don't want them hit the design. Maybe it looks better to me if I back them off a little bit. There is how to morph that design into a block that would fit into your double wedding ring. What about that design that I created? What about it? Well, let's go back here and let's select, use that outline that we had. I'll go to Tools, I'll copy, go back to that file and we'll paste it in. Okay, I can work with that. So I could use this. I could use this part of the design and bring in these corners, select the nodes that I want, and in, or I can make the block a bit smaller and design it that way. So I guys in, and I told you if you want to select more than what you're uh, selecting here with a box, if your design doesn't quite fit, you can actually use the control key on your keyboard to select more nodes. So select the nodes that you want by clicking them. So I did that and I morphed that design. If I paste that here, you'll see that this design fits pretty much. I need to resize it, but I think when I did this design, I selected the uh, more on the corners, pulling them out, than I did pushing in. So these corners here, I selected those. I need to be on the select button, and I grabbed these guys and pulled them out to fit this design. So this one fit the quilt top that I was working. So maybe if I resize this is a little bit different than what I started. But it's pretty close to what I was doing when I created here this design. So this is what I put in the center of double wedding ring. So there is that design. Another thing I saw was someone took triangular designs. So these are two designs from the triangles folder. So I'm going to go down here to the designs area, and I went under PS designs and I went to triangle. And this one I used the fairy feather, and I grabbed the corners of that feather and I stretched them into the corner. I did one at a time, so I sized it to sort of fit here and then duplicated that design. I can do the same on this corner up here. Grab these three. If I wanted to hit the control key and grab that one. Grab guys, that one. See, I just needed to hold down my control key and then add any ones you want. But there, I could bring that design. Same with any of these. They're triangular designs. There's a feather that you could bring in. So let's grab these two. My selection screen, cut, and cut. Back to my designs. I could bring in the feather. Just need to size it, rotate it, bring it in here. Like I said, it's best to start with a design that is actually meant for this. This one is a little bit long on this side, but if your heart is set on a feather and you can't find a feather that you exactly love, you can go through this process and create your own double wedding ring file. Like I said, start with something close, something with those points, something like this, and then turn it into a double wedding ring design. If you're really stuck on something, you want to use it, I've showed you how in Art and Stitch and in premium how to create um, a design from something that you've purchased or may already have in your stockpile of designs. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. Don't forget to go over to Facebook and join the ProStitcher Designer Diner. We'd love to see you. And we've got a great bunch of people to give you great answers. Thanks for joining me today. Bye for